Okay, let's start off before we get into perspective suggestions with your strength, understanding where you are, the intelligent contribution you've already put. I'm going to read your words for everybody that would want to hear them, and that you'll understand that this is one of the big factors that we're going to start off with for our foundation of where we can go from here. We're talking about social media here. It says the internet plus the ease and mobility to use it is a huge contributing factor. That is, not only is it genetically altering us, it is silently controlling the herd right in front of us. And because there is a herd, they're able to smoke screen essentially, and that leaves the children basically doomed by their hands to contribute to someone's own selfish agendas, all with the use of licks and bumps of serotonin in social media to make you addicted, just enough to make it perpetual. Super sad. I wholeheartedly believe in what you do, and as well use what you want to do to share the knowledge that you've gained with people. That's why I'm reading this now, because I believe this is very in touch with what I already believe and see, and I'm glad to have met another person that sees these things, and I believe way more people need to see these things. That's why I'm reading this. It also shows that you're already on a good, strong foundation and able to, I'm sure, make progress real easily with yourself, perhaps even today. So then you go on and you say that you realize that people could care less to seek any core help because they have their Facebook and their social media to vent to and let it dictate who they are, and the social media stigmatizes the therapy, so that it's either too complicated in some people's eyes, or for some it's quite literally the fear of letting the world know who they are and how messed up they are. And I think that you're right. I think that this really shows that you have a really good insight, and probably don't need any help. You're probably all you need. But maybe you need somebody to talk to that isn't one of those types of people that perpetuates those things. Because I see them, I'm not. And even though I'm on Facebook because I use it as a tool, it is actually something that I use not in the way that any of its negatives. I try to use it only for its positives. So for me, it's just a format. I always say to my daughter, I have a phone, but I only use it to make phone calls, take pictures, and make videos. So anything else that it has on it, and the things it could have on it is infinite, I don't even hardly use. So what is it really? It's a tool. It's what it was designed to do. But so many of these other things, I think you realize, they're not tools. They're ways that those that are in power, and those that have the controls, and those that put the creativity to those purposes, that's what makes up their whole composition of their life. Those businesses and the way that they use those tools, that the whole thing is to make a profit. And at what expense? At what expense? At the expense of those that fall victim to it and don't even realize they're victim to it. It seems as though it's all a big gift. It seems as though the people realize it's all a gift, it's all wonderful, I can have so much fun. And what they're doing is I mentioned mentality being lower than ever before in the last video. And what's happening is these prop-up things are helping people have what they feel they need so that they continually believe they're fine. Or if they're not fine, they're just a few steps away from being fine. Or if after that, they're just a few more steps away from being fine. You've hit it right on the nose. Now what you want to do is keep that intelligence. Help it to serve you. Help yourself not to fall for anything. You've got the intelligence to do that. But you've also come into a few difficulties. We've got to analyze those difficulties. First off, I want to start off with perspective counseling. Right now, at this exact moment, if you want to grow and benefit immediately, what you've got to be able to be is intelligent, but you've got to be able to admit to yourself that everything you have in front of you that's causing you to be talking in the first place to another person, causing you to be stressed, causing you to feel as though you need somebody else to talk with, all those things that you see as stressful and debilitating and trapped, you say, you can't get past those things because they're holding you now because of a few mistakes you made in the past and the loss of your loved one and their plans not working out and difficulties with making sure you maintain your living and your home and having the things you want and you need and not deciding what you're going to do for your future and not even be motivated to do it because you feel trapped. And it's like, if I couldn't even get what I wanted before when things were okay, how am I ever going to get what I want now when things aren't okay? It's going to be even harder. So, my thing I want to do is offer you right now. You've got to take this first step. You've got to believe that even if you never speak with me again, and no one else ever tells you this, you've got to believe it. You've got to believe that what you have in your midst right now, and all these problems and difficulties that are really grabbing you, you have all the keys to success. Those problems are there, if you'll believe in what I'm saying here. Those problems are there because they hold the solutions. You can instantaneously make a perspective shift, a paradigm shift, and instead of seeing those things as trapping you, see all those things as potential advocates of your growth, and you're solving all the answers from them. If you can do that, I can guarantee you that you can move way past all this, and instantaneously you can. But then what you really want to do at that point is you want to say, okay, well, how? How? I'm going to tell you how, okay? You have to become self-analytical. You have to see how you got to each one of these places and how each one of these things that are keeping you trapped are offering solutions, not traps. Offering takeoff strips, takeoff rocket launch pads, not chains, not shackles. If you're willing to do that, you can do this without anybody giving you the keys, because you hold the keys. Every single one of these things that is trapping you now, if you can make the perspective shift, even at first if it's just an imagination, or just a trust, or knowing someone's there for you, if you're a little weak on it or you're not sure, whatever it takes, if you can make this first perspective shift to believe that everything as of this moment, right now, before you've even done anything, is as it should be and is good rather than bad and trapping. If you can pretend, if you can believe that there's a possibility of that, then what you can do is you can then feel free and flexible to use these tools of your environment to guide you and aid you rather than hold you down. That's the step you have to do with perspective counseling. If you think, oh, that's a bunch of malarkey, he doesn't know what he's talking about. One of the reasons I spent the hour talking to you beforehand was to show you that I could identify with you, to show you that I've done that. I know the tools work. I spent an hour talking to you not really about your problems, but about how we could relate. Why did I do that? Because you have to believe that I know what I'm talking about. If you don't believe that I know what I'm talking about for myself, well, then how in the world are you going to make a huge jump like that and believe that I know what I'm talking about for someone else? So let's start to analyze a few things to give you like little key, what am I talking about things, okay? I started off with your great wisdom words, intellectual words, seeing the truth, that these large entities are controlling these masses. You don't want to be like them. Congratulations. We're even more alike than I even thought before. Here are some trip-ups. You wanted a nice watch. You wanted a nice stereo. You have good taste. You're a skilled young man who's intelligent and who believes they're worthy and justified to have good things, and you are. That seems logical. And that seems like it would be appropriate. Thank goodness you have the 4Runner. That's a nice car. You can lay out in, put a mattress. You can be okay during these difficult times. That's smart to keep that. And I hope you can continue to maintain it and afford it, because that's going to get you through until you're beyond that. And I know you'll be beyond that soon. Or you can be if you want to be. I'm going to just read what I wrote before here to remind myself of how I wanted to start off. And I could be off on this. If I'm off on it, just give me a little bit of latitude. All right, I'm just going to read this. I believe that what you are exhibiting is intelligent, intuitive, and correct. And then I'm going to say to you, then why aren't you applying that to everything you think? Because you've got so much wisdom there. If you applied it to everything, you'd do just as well. as I could do to help you, because you've already got all that you need. If you know that your words there are accurate, to me, I think the flaw of why it doesn't apply to everything and why you're still tripping is because it's showing me some of these things about the watch and your current predicament, things like this, that perhaps when you lost your mother, your loved one, even though she's your loved one, in some ways, she's been all your life your caregiver. She's an authoritarian figure. In some ways, when you said, I knew I'd get in trouble, I knew it even at the time, I think what has happened is you felt an absence of the authoritarian figure or the helper, and you didn't know where to reach out. And so you felt as though perhaps the world had another authoritarian figure that would come in through systems or means of other ways that maybe you don't even understand, but you had an inkling inside that it must be that way. I've had ripped away from me what I had. There must be some other thing that will come in and fill that vacuum. Well, by you believing that, I believe you felt you would fail from the beginning. And I believe part of that was because you wanted to fail so that you hoped you'd welcome that new helper or authoritarian figure or system or whatever it may be, because that vacuum felt like it would come to you. You almost felt like I would take this and do what I knew was wrong or stupid, like you said. And because I know that these things might happen subconsciously, I can't go wrong, because even if I get in trouble for this, the thing that comes might still help. You had said that you found out that they're not there to help. You see better now being on the other side of it. You see they're not capable of helping you. They just do their jobs. And their jobs are as poorly designed, and their subconscious and their heightened consciousness is as lacking as the herds that are on the internet, being led by all the people that are in charge of them and what they must do, and succumbing to all the rules and regulations that they have to be. One of the reasons why I don't want to subscribe on to somebody else or another entity, and I don't want to be told what to do, and I do want to help for free, is because I can avoid all that completely. I can avoid all that completely. I can see it in the first place, like I know you've already seen it, and not subscribe to it. Therefore, I can keep myself out of trouble and harm, and I can help others to learn those same things. This is very important. What you're going to be looking for is, I would almost call, and forgive me if I overstep this with my wording, I almost call what tripped you up into this place of this downward spiral where you feel like I think you said in your original letter that your life's falling apart. I believe that you had somewhat of a self-defeatist attitude, probably brought on by mourning of losing your solidity in your plans and your loved one. And you felt as though during this downtime, some other thing was going to come in and help. I think what you compromised by having that attitude and no one else there to speak to about it at the time was that you failed to maintain or continue to gain a total mastery of self. And whenever you put anything into the hands of another, they're always going to have a lesser desire to help you than would be best for you. You're always your best helper. Everyone else does not subscribe to doing unto others as they would have done unto themselves, and holding you up high and doing more for you than they would do for themselves. Everyone else serves money and power and greed and the masses of these things you talked about in these words about social media and doing what you must do because it perpetuates the system and keeps somebody victimized. I think in your young, innocent heart, you felt as though something else was going to come in. You would be lifted somehow. Instead, you became tripped, trapped, fell. No one came in. This is why I battle the forces to be one of those people that would come in. This is why I do what I do, because I know that's the case. And I know there's many in need. And I know how the world works. And I don't want to be like that. And I know there's people out there like you that would like to know that there's more and that there's something they can count on. And if no one else is going to do it, well then a few people like myself are going to take it upon themselves to do it because it must be done. So that's what I'm trying to do. So what I'm suggesting that you need is to have a confidence built up in you that can be built from your current difficult situation as you analyze each factor in it. And realize that what you're trying to do is first say everything that you have is good, it's not bad. Because what it's going to do is it's going to teach you, and you're going to become a greater master of yourself from heightened conscious, of understanding every answer to every question that you ask, to the point where you're a complete master of yourself and you are not slave or servant to anyone. When you arrive there, when you arrive at being your own master 100% and have confidence in that, that will be one of the final gifts that your mother gives you. In her absence, and your plans not coming true, and these difficult times, you'll gain a stronger strength than you ever even had, or that maybe any of the other plans that you had would have ever worked out for you. Because now, her greatest gift, and if you believe in the afterlife, or that she can help you, or whatever, if you're spiritual like that, you can label it that if you want, or you could say, no, this is just the way things are, and that person going away causes these ends, and lo and behold, though, those ends still can be a good thing for you. And no matter what way you look at it, no matter what way you title it, it still's the same, isn't it? If you get dumped, if you have less, if you trip and fall, you pick yourself back up, you learn from the trips and falls. You don't see it as a random hazard that was in your way that you fell over. You realize that there was meaning to every single thing that you've gone through. And as you analyze those meanings, you find the gifts continually under every stone that you unturn. And some of those gifts were started from the terrible tragedy of your mother dying. And maybe other things that I haven't even talked with you about yet. When you start to see every single one of those things as a learning tool, and you start to approach them only as learning tools, and you make this about what your daily life is about, your perspective that you gave yourself permission to believe in will start to actually not just be a perspective. It'll start to become a reality. And as you deal and grapple with those things on your own terms, and if you have any troubles, I'll talk to you all the whole time if you need. But you need to do this on your own because it's you. It's your life. You need to come up with the answers on your own. And as you do, you'll develop mastery of self. Your situation in life will improve. But there are going to be stones and stumbling blocks that you trip upon, and it could continue to cause you to fall, and I'm going to address those. You have the lack of motivation due to the failure of things that you wanted not coming to you to the point where you wanted to take them yourself anyway necessary. And you already have said and summed up through your social media description, you can apply that to all things in life, all authoritarian figures, all ways that all leaders operate, all ways that so much of the money that is making up things and greed and that makes the wheels turn, all those things can be your visions that you've applied to those particular social media trends. You can apply that to everything because I assure you that money and greed is running all of that. And the only way we cannot be held victim by that is to walk away from it, become our own self-masters, and not fall subservient to that. Now, you are capable. You are intelligent. You said you've lived very, very well. You've lived very poor. You've been to everywhere, so you've got a good perspective. Now, this is going to be the difficult one, but I think it's the only keys that you've given me as to where some of the fall-ups could be besides your mother, the trip-ups could be. You wanted the watch, I am assuming for yourself, not to sell, and you wanted the stereo. I'm assuming you're purchasing it out of your hard-working proceeds. Fine. You have good taste. Okay, but here's the thing. If our desire for that which we want is so strong that we go about it the wrong way, or we believe that we deserve it, and we believe we'll deserve it at our own perspective of how we think we can get it is justifiable, regardless of what others say, then we submit to the possibility of others saying, no, your perspective is not justifiable. I will penalize you. So you either get really good at getting away with everything and not having anybody ever come down on you. I'd not suggest to go that route. Why? Because you don't need the thing in the first place. You don't, even if you get it and you're scot-free, even if you live a life of wealth and everything is handed to you on a platter, those things don't necessarily help you. You might enjoy them. You might gain benefit or perceive benefit from them, but they don't actually help you. So what I would suggest is the things that you're valuing can be the links to your chains and shackles. The way you're trying to obtain them and believing they're so high that you'll obtain them at any cost can be some of your future hazards that your perspective shift are going to continue to put in front of you if you don't also understand those while you're doing the learning. You have to see the learning has to come from those things, which if you take them away, ooh, I don't want to do the learning if it means I don't get that. Ooh, I don't want to do the learning if it means I got to do without this. Ooh, I don't know if I have enough delayed gratification or self-mastery to get to a longer delayed gratification where I come to things right. Ooh, I think I'm not going to do this and do the learning because if that's what I'm seeing, what's the purpose? That could cause you to have lack of motivation also as you start towards your perspective learning. And I'm worried about that because you'll trip up on it. Also, if you don't keep a sound mind and a head and you succumb to uses of substances, even legal ones, and that keeps you from being sharp, being overall perceptive, and you think, I don't want to try to answer these things without those. I kind of like those things. That can then, again, keep you held back from gaining the answers and being truthful 100% to yourself and your self-mastery. That's going to be one of your hurdles you're going to have to get over. And then again, you have friends. You said you use the friends for camaraderie, and they're good enough friends that you can take showers and be with them. You have other places to go. That's good. But here's what you have to wonder. You always have to wonder this. Do you become susceptible to any of the ills that your friends believe? And do they help you magnify any of the ills in your own life? If that's the case, without telling them, you've got to be aware of yourself, that they can be that influence on you negatively. Did you get where you are based on all the factors in your life? Perhaps, probably even. It probably wasn't totally random. There's probably a lot of things in our lives that do seem random, but a lot of the things are self-perpetuated. The choice of who we're friends with. If I became like my friend, I'd be in trouble. He's got all kinds of ills and vices. Oh my gosh. But I've been lifelong friends with him, and I haven't succumbed to any of the ills and vices. So we can continue to be the best friends. But only because I made sure that happened. If you want to maintain your friendships and you think they're worthwhile, you have to remember, and you can do it silently. I say these things to my friend's face too, because I'd like him to change. And I believe a friend should say things openly, but don't take on more than you can chew right now. I've been trying to help him with his dietary needs and ways of looking at things all his life, and it hasn't helped because he's very stubborn and he'll be what he is going to be. He's driven himself down into a slump with his physicality to the point where he's made shackles that he may never unbind himself from because of his stubbornness. But it wasn't from any lack of anything that I ever said to him that was wise, that if he could have listened to, if he wanted to listen to, he could have helped. But again, our friendship has not failed because I've given him the respect that ultimately all I can do is suggest what I can do, and he's going to be his own person, and so are you. I've given him that respect, and we've been lifelong friends, in spite of the fact that he knows that I know I would run his life differently, but I let him run his life the way it is. And you're going to be the same. If I say something that's too off-putting, you might not ever talk to me again. But if I said anything that was good at all, it'll never leave you because ideas never die. So my goal is to not off-put you, to tell you what you've got, to give you a nice big win in your sales push, let you go. If you never see me again, you'll never forget what I said. But if you do, and you're wanting to do something, but you just keep running into a few problems, know that I'll be there. But you're going to be wanting to use whatever substances comfort you. You're going to be wanting to have whatever material objects strike you as rewarding and enjoyable. You're going to, if you use these things to dominate your course, and you say, oh, I'm going to do everything you say, I'm going to look at it more big, but I'm not going to do that. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Just remember, if you aren't 100% truthful with yourself, then your perspective that you've created, even though it could be real, if you don't solve all the problems and answers in it, you'll still go into that perspective forward. And those things will still possess the capability of tripping you up, and you won't get past them. That is what you've got to say to yourself when you take your first steps forward in this new perspective that you've given yourself, that everything is there to learn from and grow. And if you believe that, you will learn because you're intelligent. You will grow because those things were put there for reasons. Everything that's good is there because you're deserving of the good. Everything that is bad is there because you didn't understand and you didn't get past it and you thought you could have it in the way that you're having it and still benefit and still add it to your goodness. But it's not of goodness, it's of evil. The fact that you desire it in the very first place is of this very same fabric of those that want you to desire it in their crafting process, as you have already demonstrated your extreme wisdom and insights into with the social media. You have to have faith that those people are designing those things for you so that you can enjoy them. I love a good stereo system. I use technical things. I'm talking to you on a technical thing right now. When I was doing video production before the dot-com boom, I had expensive cameras and things like that and did video production. They were only cameras. They weren't computers. They weren't all these other things. So I believe in high-quality things. I believe in the capability of all things that comes to a person have the ability to aid that person, make them stronger, and help them. If what they're trying to do was worthy of being helped, and their strength and their foundation and their heightened conscience was enough to guide them through the pitfalls of life. But all the things in this complex world that we have can also easily trip us up. And the way they can trip us up first is if we can't get past our weakness and say, I can't do it if I have to do this. I can't do it if I have to see this way. I can't do it. That's your biggest hindrance. Now, I've said it a number of times in different ways, and I'll do that. Why? Because it's really simple. I'm going to talk to you for a long time, and it could have been said in 5 minutes. Why? Because my hope is that each way I say something, each time I say something, I'm making sure that whatever's inside that can come out does. I'm making sure that each way I say something, one of them might hit on you and you might see it. I'm making sure that I cover it in a lot of different ways because who I'm speaking with I haven't met, and one of them might resound more. Let's go back to the Matrix, okay? The first one, Oracle, okay? What did she say? You've already made the choice. Now you have to understand what that means. I'm asking you to make the perspective shift that everything you have in front of you that you consider bad is all good. Instantaneously, you can make that choice, and it can all be good from this step forward in your life. And every single step forward can be a good one for you. You'll never fall again. But the only way that will happen is if you're truthful to yourself and you understand that every single thing that you're doing is a choice you've already made that you don't yet understand. You must force yourself to look and analyze the meaning in every single one of those steps. Not just the ones that are easy, not just the ones you understand right off, but every single one, even the ones you don't want to part with. You've got to be able to do that in order for the choice to be made of the perspective change. The gift you can give yourself is if you make that choice right now, what I'm saying is real. Your problems are instantaneously solved. You just haven't walked on the road yet. You can have that right now. But if you delude yourself, you're not a self-master, you're not 100% confident that what I'm saying is true, and you don't go about it as if it is, you'll trip, you'll fall. Now, I'm not saying that you won't trip and fall and then get back up and you'll learn. Sometimes there's a harder way to learn something. You may have to trip. You might say, these couple of hard ones I can't get past, and you might trip. If you're still doing the other things, you might be making a gain still forward, but you're learning the harder way to go on that road because you're putting hurdles up in front of yourself and roadblocks and potholes. You're still going to be going down the road, but it'll take you a longer time to see why you're on that road if you aren't 100% honest with yourself. So that's what you got to do. Now, I've told you what you got to do. I'm not going to talk to you anymore right now. This is half as long as the last time I talked to you, 1.5 hours. contemplate that. Ask yourself if you're willing to make that perspective change right this minute. Start on your way. If you never talk to me again, it's all you need. If you do it, if you understand it. If you don't understand it, ask specific questions. If you have troubles with things you know you're going to have trouble with, and you wonder, do I have to completely abstain from this, or can I deal with it, or whatever? We don't know the answers to that. I'm not going to tell you you've got to abstain from things that you love. I'm not going to tell you you can't have nice things, or you can't use substances that make you feel certain ways. I'm not going to tell you those things. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I'm going to tell you you have to have honest answers for yourself in the way that you live your life. And your road would be different than mine anyway. So don't think that if you go down the road with me, I'm going to judge you based on how you did things differently. That's your own thing, and only you can judge. I can never judge. Only you can. I can only show you how you need to be doing that judgment. I can't tell you whether you were right or not, or whether there's a better way for you or not. That's all up to you. If you understand what I'm talking about right now, you now have, without ever talking again with me, everything you'll need to make all the gains you'll need in your life of self-mastery and heightened conscious. But if you'd like to continue to talk, and you want to talk about specifics, even though they're different for you than they are for me, I don't care how far your life takes you off of any path that I might be on or anybody else. I don't care. It's wonderful. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. But know that I'll be there for you in a non-judgmental capacity to help you as long as you'd like me to, as long as I can. Or just somebody to sound off to, that you're going to get better quality things back than licks and likes or whatever. Just know I can be that for you, but you hold in your hands all that you need right now. All right. I hope to talk to you soon. Good luck to you. Believe. And like Yoda says, do. There is no try. But if you find yourself falling, you're still doing. You're not trying. You're still doing. Pick yourself back up.